She only came to visit her son, but that day at the summer camp beach changed her life forever. Taylor is a single mom whose husband left before her son Mike was even born. Richard is a widowed father who lost his wife to cancer and now raises his daughter Sophia alone. Their children become best friends at summer camp, but no one expects that a sandcastle on the beach will bring two broken hearts together. Children's laughter, weekend visits, a first date, a first kiss on a quiet wooden bridge, and one day a little boy quietly says the words that change everything. "Thanks, Dad." Sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin when you've almost stopped believing in happiness. A story about love that arrives quietly, but stays forever.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
The Sandcastle that built a family. My name is Taylor. And if someone had told me a year ago that I would look at a man again and feel warmth, I probably would have just snorted skeptically. Back then my life was simple and a little exhausting. Work, home, my son Mike, and endless cups of coffee that I didn't even drink for the taste anymore, just so I wouldn't fall asleep on my feet. Mike was born without a father. My husband disappeared even before Mike took his first breath. One day he simply said he wasn't ready for this kind of life, packed a suitcase, and left. I remember sitting in the kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had already gone cold, thinking my life had just broken. But it didn't break, it just became different. Mike grew up to be a cheerful, slightly mischievous boy with dimples on his cheeks and the incredible ability to ask a million questions a minute. "Mom, why don't clouds fall down? Mom, can sharks live in a bathtub? Mom, if I become a superhero, will you be my assistant?" Of course I agreed, because to him, I was the whole world. This summer I finally dared to send him to a children's camp by a lake. At first, I was more nervous than he was. "Mom, I'm not going to space," he said, rolling his eyes. "It's just camp." But 2 days later he called me on video and, without even saying hello, excitedly shouted, "Mom, I found a friend." A friend. I got a little cautious. "And what's her name?" "Sophia. She's the coolest. She's not afraid of water and she climbs trees faster than me." I laughed. "Faster than you? That's a serious challenge." "I'm training," Mike said very seriously. They became friends so quickly that the counselors started calling them the little team. And then the first weekend arrived, the one when parents could come visit their kids. I drove to the camp early in the morning. The sun was shining so brightly that the asphalt almost looked golden. The camp stood by a large lake, with wooden cabins and a long beach of white sand. I had barely stepped onto the grounds when I heard a familiar shout. "Moom." Mike was running toward me across the grass like a little rocket. I didn't even have time to prepare. He crashed into me with a hug. "I missed you," he announced. "It's been 3 days. That's a lot." I laughed and kissed his hair. And then a little girl appeared beside him, with long dark braids and very serious, wide eyes. "This is Sophia," Mike said proudly. She politely waved at me. "Hello." "Hi, Sophia. She's my best friend," Mike added. "We're building a sandcastle," Sophia explained. "A very big one," Mike clarified. "With a secret tunnel. And towers," she added. "And a trap for pirates." I laughed. "That sounds very serious. Come see." Mike grabbed my hand. We walked down to the beach. And that's when I saw him for the first time. He was standing a little off to the side, watching the kids. Tall, slightly tanned, wearing a simple light shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked calm, but there was a quiet mix of tenderness and tiredness in his eyes. Suddenly Sophia shouted, "Dad, look, we almost finished the castle." He smiled and walked closer. And then our eyes met. "You must be Mike's mom," he said. His voice was warm. "Yes, and you're Sophia's dad?" "Richard." "Taylor." We shook hands. And for some reason we both laughed a little, as if it was awkward and natural at the same time. Meanwhile, the kids were pulling us toward their construction project. Look, Mike explained. This is the main tower. And this is the water moat, Sophia added. And this is the secret passage, Mike whispered. It's not a secret if you tell everyone, Sophia sighed. I laughed quietly. Richard did too. They've been like this all week, he said. Really? Completely inseparable. We sat down in the sand nearby. The kids ran around, building, arguing about the architecture of the sandcastle. The wind carried the smell of water and pine trees. I noticed the way Richard looked at Sophia, with a very gentle smile. She's wonderful, I said. His smile became a little sad. Her mom, he paused for a moment. She passed away 2 years ago. I felt something tighten in my chest. Cancer, he added quietly. We were silent for a few seconds. I'm very sorry, I said. Thank you. He looked at me a little more closely. And Mike? I sighed. His father, just left. Before he was even born. Richard nodded quietly. And suddenly there was a strange understanding between us. Without extra words. Without pity. Just two adults who knew a little about what it meant to carry life on their shoulders. Suddenly Mike ran up to us. Sophia's dad, he shouted. Richard laughed. I'm still getting used to that title. We need help, Mike announced. Why? I asked. Sophia says my tunnel is crooked. Because it is crooked, she said. Richard stood up. Well then, engineer, let's take a look. I watched as they both knelt in the sand, discussing the geometry of the tunnel, and suddenly I thought. Maybe life doesn't end where we think it does. Sometimes it just begins again. On a beach, beside a sandcastle, under the laughter of two children who have no idea that they just introduced two people who really needed a new kind of happiness. After that first meeting on the beach, everything somehow continued naturally. As if life had quietly opened a new page and whispered, try again. Carefully, but try. The next weekend I came back to the camp. Mike ran out of the cabin so fast that the counselor barely managed to shout after him. Mike, your shoes. Mom, I'll be back, he yelled, already running barefoot toward me. And of course Sophia was right next to him. We caught frogs today, she announced very seriously. We didn't catch them, Mike corrected. We rescued them. From what? I asked. From loneliness. Before I could answer, I heard a familiar voice. That sounds like a very noble mission. I turned around. Richard was standing behind us, holding 2 cups of lemonade. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Richard. And again, that same strange ease. Like we hadn't seen each other for a few days, but had known each other for years. He handed me the lemonade. I figured you might need this after the drive. Do you read minds? Only tired moms. We both laughed. The kids dragged us to the lake, then to the playground, then to the wooden pier. Somehow Mike convinced Richard to join a stone skipping competition. The winner gets. Mike paused dramatically. Ice cream, Richard suggested. 2 ice creams, Mike clarified. I watched Richard and Mike standing by the water, seriously discussing advanced stone skipping technique. And suddenly Sophia quietly sat next to me. She took my hand. You're nice, she said. Thank you. My dad is nice too. I noticed. Sometimes he gets sad. My chest tightened a little. I know. She looked at me very carefully. But when you're here, he laughs more. I didn't know what to say. So I just hugged her. And for one tiny moment, just one tiny moment, I thought, it would be so wonderful to have a daughter too. Meanwhile Richard and Mike were arguing. That was 5 skips. Mike shouted. 4, Richard said calmly. 5, alright, 5, I win. Clearly. So, ice cream. Clearly. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. The next weekends were the same. And the next. We walked, sat by the water, laughed. Sometimes we talked about serious things. Sometimes about absolute nonsense. One evening Richard said, "This is strange." "What is?" "With you it feels so easy, like we've known each other for 10 years. Maybe we're just two tired people who finally found someone to laugh with." I like that theory. But summer never asks permission when it ends. And the last day of camp arrived. Kids were hugging, exchanging friendship bracelets. Mike and Sophia stood near the gate, holding each other, crying. Sophia sniffled. "We won't see each other anymore." "We will," Mike said, but his voice trembled. I knelt beside him. "Mike," he wiped his eyes. "We'll see each other again." "Really?" "Of course." I smiled. "And we'll eat ice cream together." Richard stood beside us. He nodded and smiled gently. "That sounds like a wonderful plan." The kids were still crying. And when we got into our cars, Mike stared out the window, quietly sniffling. I could see Sophia crying in the car next to us. It was heartbreaking. But the next morning Mike asked, "Mom?" "Yes? Are we going to Sophia's today?" "Not today." "Tomorrow?" "No. The day after tomorrow?" This happened every single day. And every time I said, "Soon." Finally Saturday arrived. That evening the four of us met at the most delicious pizzeria in our city. Right at the entrance Mike and Sophia ran to each other like they hadn't seen each other in 10 years. Sophia, Mike, they laughed, jumped, talked at the same time. Richard walked over to me. In his hands was a small bouquet of red roses. "These are for you." I blinked in surprise. "Richard, I just thought they fit this evening." I felt my cheeks getting warm. "They're beautiful. So is the evening." I laughed. We sat down at a table. The kids ran around, laughed, drew on napkins, and argued about pizza toppings. "Pineapple on pizza is a crime," Mike declared. "No," Sophia said. "It's the best." "No." "Yes." "No." "Okay," Richard interrupted. "Half with pineapple, half without." "That's diplomacy," I said. "I'd call it parental survival instinct." We laughed. And suddenly I noticed something simple. The kids were happy, truly happy. And Richard and I, watching them, were happy too, quietly, warmly, as if life was very gently stitching two slightly broken stories into one new beginning. A few weeks passed after that evening at the pizzeria. We saw each other often. Sometimes all together in the park, sometimes at the playground, sometimes just drinking coffee while Mike and Sophia invented another, very important mission. But one evening Richard called me. His voice sounded a little different. "Taylor?" "Yes? I have an idea. That sounds dangerous." He laughed softly. "I was thinking, maybe we could go to dinner." I smiled. "We already have dinner together a lot." "I mean, just us." I paused for a second. "You mean, a date?" "Yes, a real one." My heart suddenly started beating a little faster. "And the kids?" "My mom, Margaret, would love to take them. She already promised to teach them how to bake chocolate cookies." "That sounds dangerous for the kitchen." I thought so too. I laughed quietly. "Okay, does that, okay, mean yes?" "It means, yes." On Saturday evening we brought Mike and Sophia to Grandma Margaret's house. The house smelled like cinnamon, vanilla, and something warm and comforting. Margaret was a small energetic woman with kind eyes. "Oh, my little bakers," she exclaimed, hugging the kids. "We're making cookies," Mike said excitedly. "A lot of cookies," Sophia clarified. Margaret winked at me. "Don't worry. I raised 3 kids and 8 grandchildren. The kitchen will survive." "I hope so," Richard laughed. As we were leaving, I heard Mike ask, "Grandma Margaret, can we add a lot of chocolate?" "In this house," she replied proudly, "there is never too much chocolate." I smiled. Richard opened the car door for me. "Thank you. I'm trying to behave like a gentleman." "You're doing a pretty convincing job." He smiled. We drove to a small cozy restaurant in the center of town. There were soft yellow lights, wooden tables, and a quiet guitarist playing in the corner. And just as we sat down, Richard pulled out a small bouquet. Red roses. Again I felt my cheeks getting warm. Richard, I thought it might become a tradition. I like this tradition. Dinner was light and wonderfully fun. We talked about the kids. About silly stories from work. About the time Mike decided he could make a superhero cape out of a kitchen curtain. He actually cut it? Richard laughed. Absolutely. What did you do? I told him he was officially a superhero, but superheroes also wash curtains. Richard laughed so sincerely that people at the next table smiled. And I suddenly realized how long it had been since I'd seen a man laugh so easily. After dinner we went for a walk. The night was quiet and warm. The park smelled like fresh grass and roses. Street lamps cast soft light along the paths. We walked side by side. Sometimes our hands brushed accidentally. And every time I felt a small spark. We reached a small wooden bridge over a stream. The water murmured quietly below us. We stopped. For a few seconds we simply looked at each other. Richard stepped closer. Taylor, his voice was softer now. Yes, I'm really glad that one day two kids decided to build a sandcastle. I smiled. The best architectural accident of my life. He gently took my hand. His fingers were warm. My heart was beating so loudly I was sure he could hear it. May I? He asked quietly. I barely nodded. Then he leaned closer. Our first kiss was gentle. Very gentle, as if we were both afraid to scare something fragile and beautiful. But at the same time, there was so much warmth in it that I felt something inside me finally fall into place. When we pulled back slightly, we both laughed softly. That was, Richard began. Yes, I whispered. He wrapped his arms around me. And in that moment I realized something simple. We were no longer just two single parents. We were two people who had fallen in love. Autumn arrived quietly. The trees in the park where we often walked turned gold and red, and the air smelled like leaves and something new. Our lives had become new too. We weren't just seeing each other anymore. We had become a family. One evening Richard said, Taylor, I think there's a problem with our house. I raised an eyebrow. What problem? It's missing one person. I smiled. Who? He looked at me seriously, but with that same warm, slightly shy smile. You. In that moment my heart felt so light I thought I might cry. A few weeks later we had a small wedding. No big noise. No hundreds of guests. Just the people closest to us. In the small garden behind Richard's house, Grandma Margaret decorated the tables with flowers and kept repeating, "This is the best day I've had in 10 years." Sophia was my little helper. She held a basket of rose petals very seriously. "I will scatter them beautifully," she explained. "I have no doubt." Mike looked serious too. "And what do I do?" "You are the official ring guardian," Richard said. Mike stood up straighter. "That's a very important job." "It is." When the ceremony began, the sun shone softly through the tree branches. I walked toward Richard along a small garden path, and all I could see was him. His eyes, his smile, the same man who once stood on a beach beside a sandcastle. When we said, "I do," Sophia laughed happily, and Mike clapped so loudly that everyone else started laughing too. For the first time in a long time, I felt like life had become whole. We moved into Richard's house. It was cozy, a bright kitchen, wooden stairs, and a big window overlooking the garden. In the mornings it smelled like coffee, toast, and children's laughter. Sophia and Mike quickly turned the house into a territory of adventures. Sometimes it was a pirate ship, sometimes a space station, sometimes a secret laboratory. One evening we were all sitting in the kitchen. Margaret brought fresh cookies. Sophia was drawing. Richard was helping Mike with his homework. "No, look," he said patiently. "If 2 + 3 is 5, Mike answered. "Correct." Mike thought for a second. Then suddenly said, "Thanks, Dad." The kitchen went quiet. Richard froze. I saw his eyes shine slightly. "Always happy to help," he said softly. Mike didn't even notice anything special had happened. He was already looking back at his notebook. But I saw Richard close his eyes for a second and smile. Later that evening, when the kids were asleep, we were sitting on the couch. I leaned against his shoulder. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. "I did." His voice was a little rough. That was the best moment of my life. I took his hand, and I thought about how strange life can be. Sometimes it breaks your heart. Sometimes it leaves you alone with fear, pain, and silence. But then, one summer day, two children start building a sandcastle. And you have no idea that in that moment life has already started building a new home for your heart. And now when I look at our kitchen, at Mike and Sophia laughing, at Richard making morning coffee, I know one simple truth. Sometimes the most beautiful stories begin when you have almost stopped believing in happiness. And somehow, it finds you anyway, quietly, gently, and forever. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new stories. And also write in the comments how you liked this story on a scale of 1 to 5. Watch the following video and enjoy watching.